You guys are really modern.
We're still working on the list.
Okay. We were starting Daf Nun from the base. That's 50b. We'll go over a little bit what happened. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. We're learning we should have base of English. We're learning Lili Nishmas, Zabagol the Basparch Binyamin, and Metzia. Whoever needs for first Shlema. Okay, we start from Iboilu. Iboilu means they asked the question. There were three levels. There was less than a sixth, and more than a sixth. We're talking about overcharging. If the value, what was our example? Let's say the value costs of the item costs $6, and he charged him $7. So that's 1/6 more. So then, at the level of 1/6, we say that that's considered the level of Ainah, which means that the sale is good, but the only thing is he has to return the overcharging. If it's more than that, then the sale is nullified. Unless he charges him 8, then the sale is nullified. If he charges him less than that, then it's batal. If he charges him 6.5 instead of 7, then the sale is on.
If it's 8 and it's fully nullified, he has to return all the money, not just the remaining.
Yeah. Now there's difference of opinion in this, so it's going to throw you off a little here, a little there. We'll see in a second. Okay. Whatever the case is, Iboilu, they had a question. When we say that there's a level of bittul mekach, that means that the sale was so overcharged, such price fraud that the sale is invalid. How long, according to the rabbis, do we have for the person to come back and say, "Hey, you cheated me"? So there's a question: is it li'olam? Is it always? Or is only a certain amount of time that the person has to say, "Hey, you cheated me"? And after that, then it's over. Just like by Ainah, there was only that set amount of time. You can't come back a year later. You can come back only the amount of time it takes to show to a merchant.
The next day, right?
Okay, now there was the opinion of Reb Tarf, and we'll go back over that in a moment. Just give me 1 second. Imtim Talaymar, if you say that even for bittul mekach, even for a large exploitation, so you only have the amount of time to show it to a merchant. What's the difference between if it's 1/6 or more than a 6? By both of them, according to the opinion that says that the person has the ability to cancel the sale even by a 6. That's one of the options. According to that opinion, that the person has the option of canceling the sale, so he has the same option of canceling the sale when it's a 6 or when it's more than a 6. There's no difference. Both of them is the same din. The ilushtus. I'm sorry. Ika. No, so that's not a real proof. No, so that should have proved to us that if it's more than a 6, that he can always cancel it. Where it says no, Ika, there is a difference. It doesn't prove it to us. You see, you have to think about this, but yeah, very good. 1 second, let me translate and then we'll ask that question. If it's a 6, then only the one that was overcharged, only the buyer, or if it was underpaid, then the seller, only the one that was the victim of the price fraud, he's the one that can retract from the sale, not the other one. But if it's more than a 6, then both of them can retract from the sale. Now, why would the seller want to retract from the sale if he just made a lot of money? The reason is Because let's say the price now changed. Let's say it was worth 6. We sold it for 7. We sold it for, let's say, more than 7. We sold it for 8 or something, or 6.5, no, 7.5. Now it was it's bittul mecca
For the buyer.
for the buyer. So the
went up.
buyer, but here not only can the buyer change, but also the seller can change. Now, why would the seller want to get out of that sale? Because now the price went up to 8 or 9 or 10, it changed in price, and he says, you know what? Let me take it back. Also, another option is that maybe because he's now losing the money that he made, the profit that he made on it, because the guy's claiming that I want the sale is good, but I want the price fraud. I want the difference. So now he says, okay, let me take the whole thing back, and I'll try to sell it on someone else. Right?
One day's worth 10, next day's worth 20.
What was that?
That's a lot.
What was the paper? Oh,
Never happened.
okay.
It's only a theory.
So, okay, so now we're back to the question. We thought we had an answer to the question. We're back to the question. Question is, how much time is there for the person to say that I was defrauded, and I want to change the sale. I want to go back on it because it was more than a 6. It's called bittul mekach. The sale is invalid. So how long does he have? Tashima. So come and listen. Now we'll go back to discuss Reb Tarfon. It was this very interesting story where the merchants of Lud were told by Reb Tarfon that up until not a 6, but up until a 3rd, it's still considered it's not considered bittul mekach. It's not considered that the sale is invalid up till a 3rd. See, the Rabbanan said up till a 6, it's considered aina. More than a 6 is considered bittul mekach. Reb Tarfon said, no, even until a 3rd, it's considered aina. More than a 3rd is considered bittul mekach. So everyone was all excited. They can now overcharge up until a 3rd. Get the difference if something costs 24, 6 would be they can charge an extra 4. Would be a 3rd, they can charge an extra 8. So an extra 4 would be 20. They can charge something that's worth $24. You can charge $28, and it's not considered that they frauded. That it was fraud up until 28. And according to Reb Tarfon, they can charge up until 32, and it's still not considered that the person was overcharged. Was overcharged to that limit. Well, they were all excited, but then Reb Tarfon told them that I'm changing the time that the person has to come back on the deal, and instead of having the amount of time it takes to show to a merchant, which would mean to go to the next door to check out what they're charging, but I'm giving you all day. So he gave them, I don't know if it's 24 hours, I don't remember, 24 hours or until evening, whichever one it is. So then they said, oh, forget it. We don't need Reb Tarfon. We'd rather go according to the Chum and only have the ability to charge up until 28 rather than 32 because we don't have better chance of that the sale will last, then the person will come back and return it. And as he gave them a longer return policy, they can return it more time, and then the sale, they didn't want that.
And would this override if the store says that both sales are fine?
That we're going to see soon. That's going to be a Gemara. Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. We'll see. So, if we're going to say again, we're looking for what other Rabbanan hold, how long the person has by bittul mekach to come back and say that, hey, you cheated me. So does he have forever, or does he have only the amount of time it takes to show it to a merchant? So if we say that according to the Rabbanan, you only have the amount of time it takes to show to a merchant, and Reb Tarfon, what did he give him? The entire day. Say, hey, that's longer. So we'd rather have the Rabbanan, let's say a 6, even though it's less in the rate, but in the time, in the amount of time, it's more. So we'd rather have the Rabbanan. That's why they went back. They don't want to have all day. They only want to have the amount of time to return it. Should only be that small amount of time. You had the problem over here. If according to the Rabbanan, you have forever to return it. And according to Reb Tarfon, you have all day. So 1 second. It's better to follow Reb Tarfon than forever. Amai chazru, but Reb Tarfon nichalo. It should be better to follow Reb Tarfon. Tarfon only says you have 24 hours. They said you have forever. Because according to him, it was only 1 day and not forever.
We're just trying to keep it consistent. It's 1 day for overcharging minutes. Also 1 day for 1/6 less.
No, I see what you're saying. That's an interesting question. We were saying like this. We were saying under 6 is immediately Michael. That's the way we sort of conclude. Remember, we had a question: what happens under 6? It's under 6, the sale is final, finished, it's done. If it's actually a 6, there's a amount of time where the person can come back and say that I was overcharged. If it's more than a 6, now this is our discussion. We're saying now more than a 6 is forever. And okay, now according to this, more than 6 is forever. According to Reb Tarfon, more than a 6 is still in the level of Aina, which because it's only from a 6 to a third, it's a level of Aina, and over there you only have the amount of time of 1 day. So the Gemara answers to that. So it would be better for them to stick with Reb Tarfon. Why'd they switch back? They said bittul mekach leishchiach. They said more than actually a 6. The Rabbanan's bittul mekach, not Reb Tarfon's bittul mekach, but more than the Rabbanan's bittul mekach, which is more than a 6. That's not common. That a person would be able to charge so much. So what was the more common? More common would be actually a 6. Now here we have to come back to the Gemara before where we said that according to Reb Tarfon, 1/6 is considered less than a 6. Right? Is that how we said it before? So Reb Tarfon Mechila, exactly a 6, according to Reb Tarfon is Mechila, and according to the Rabbanan, that's Eina. So now, since according to the Rabbanan, 1/6 is they don't have to say this. Maybe we can say right. Okay. What happens exactly by 1/6? If it's exactly 1/6, according to the Rabbanan, you have an after return. But how much time do you have? You have until it depends on his opinion. According to the Rabbanan, you have only the amount of time it takes to show it to someone. And according to Reb Tarfon, you have all day. You have all day.
So you show like a merchant or family member, and that was, I think, considered a day.
No, that was less than a day. That was the issue. That's why they didn't want to follow Reb Tarfon, because that's less than a day to show it to a merchant. The rabbi said you haven't enough time to show it to the merchant, and then the sale's over. So even during that same day, the sale's final. According to Reb Tarfon, you have an entire day, which they extended it. Yeah. So what the Gemara is answering here is that even if we're going to say that according to the Rabbanan, you have forever to cancel. And according to Reb Tarfon, you only have that one day, but they would still rather go like the Rabbanan than to go like Reb Tarfon, because the Rabbanan's forever, which is more than a shtus, is not as common for them as exactly a shtus. They would rather have the exact shtus should only shtus a 6. Yeah,
Right.
they would rather have exactly a 6 and have a lesser time on that, because that's going to be more common than overcharging more than a 6 and have just one day. So they're going to gain more from the 6 shorter time than more than a 6 longer time.
In this case, if they have like forever, price could always change. How do they prove, oh, the day you sold me it was worth
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's also like supply and demand, like what is the right price?
Let's see. Let's go further. We'll see. That's a problem. Proof is another issue. How to figure out the proof. Right. Tani Kavasei de Rava. I'm sorry, I skipped. Amar Rava. Rava says, Hilchas the halacha is pachas mishtas nikne mekach. Less than a 6th, the sale is a good sale. Yes.
I think when he says forever, we're not talking about, because of course price changes. It's in a year you find out that, guess what, when you paid $300, it was really only going for 200 or worth 200. But you find out later on
What the price was originally, right?
Yeah.
How do you prove it was worth 200 a year ago?
No, they look back in the books.
Because you see the receipts of everyone else.
Of other stores, this and that.
Yeah. But how to prove it is difficult.
For future, because as you said,
Right.
price fluctuates with market.
Right. Yaitzer stuff is shtus. If it's more than a 6, bittul mekach, then the sale is invalid entirely. Shtus, but if it's just 1/6, kano machzor, then the sale is good, but you have to return the overcharging. The zev is and both the 6 and more than a 6 has a limited time of return, and that's the amount of time it takes to go to show to a merchant. Tani Kavasei de Rav, we have a brisa that supports Rava's ruling over here. Rava has a little chiddush, you'll see in a second. I know if it's a I know pachas mishtas, if it's an overcharging but it's less than a 6, then it's nikna mekach, then the sale is valid. Yes, shtus, if it's more than a 6, bittul mekach, the sale is invalid. Shtus, if it's exactly 1/6, kano machzor, I know different Reb Nosson. Reb Nosson is of the opinion that if it's exactly 1/6, then the sale is good, but you give back the extra charge that the person put on it. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says 1 second. Yad meicher al yaina. The seller has the choice. Either he can say, give me back the item, or he can say, give to me back what you defrauded me.
Yeah,
It is talking about when he was underpaid.
Yeah,
It was underpaid.
Yes.
Now, the truth is that according to Rabbi Yehuda who's saying this, the same thing should apply, as we're going to see later in the Gemara, to the lekeach if he overcharged them. Now, the one that overcharged has the right. The one that was the victim over here has the right to choose if he wants the sale to be off or if he wants just to get back his money. The other person doesn't have that choice of changing the whole sale because he's the guy that did it. We shouldn't give him that option now to make an extra income because
do it he sold cheap. Was a
where this happens. People, these expert antique dealers, they walk into these like flea market type things, and they find stuff over there that people are selling, and they know that this item belonged to Queen something, and they say, okay, yeah, what is it? It's $1, whatever. It's yeah, okay, $1. And meanwhile, they know that it really has a real value. This is how they do it because they're experts, So the person doesn't know like all of these things that are coming in. Yeah, silver, whatever. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Huh? Yeah, it's in every field though. It's in with jewelry, it's with books, it's with
I like
you know,
when
every
they tell
field.
you about the person who went to the flea market or garage sale and they bought a picture for 50 cents and it turns out to be worth, $250,000 or
So the
whatever.
seller.
That's it, it's
Right.
chasasi the person.
Yeah, so according to this,
Seller can go back.
according to this, the
If he knew
person
it.
can say, according to this, if the seller was defrauded,
So defrauded means that the buyer had to have known before that he was hopping right.
Yeah.
But if he just liked the item and I bought it and it turned out he didn't do anything bad. This was the price. I bought it. The fact that it was worth so much more is not my fault. When you say
Why you
defraud,
said the fraud? I mean, the guy was willing to give it away for people who sell things at flea markets.
see.
If they don't
I think
sell,
what
they
I
need.
think what he's
Let's
saying
see
is not what
later
he
in the
said at
Gemara.
price. I think he's saying that someone came in and says, "I'll tell you what it's worth." Otherwise, he says, "I don't know. Come give me," and he offered him a price that wasn't fair because he knew how much worth it
Uh-huh.
is.
That
That's
would
all.
be the fraud.
That's
because
I'm trying to think of
lie.
the defraud. Yeah.
let's see. But what we got from Rava here, we quoted this brisa. Rava is following Reb Nassan. He's not following Rabbi Nasi. Okay. How long does he have to retract? Reb Nachman says, Reb Nachman has a very interesting logic here. He says only the purchaser has a limited amount of time to show it to someone and then to return. But the seller, as we're going to see soon, the seller, how is he going to find out if he was defrauded? Because he doesn't have the item in his hands. He can't go and show it to anyone. He's already sold it. So the only way he'll be able to know is if that item comes back to him somehow, or he gets another one of those items, and then he finds out, oh my gosh, I sold it for cheap. It's really worth more. So, but how long does that take? That could take a long time. So Rav Nachman's saying that for the seller to come and claim that he was underpaid, that could be forever. He could always come back and say I was underpaid, and now I have another item and it's really worth much more. Yeah.
It could be like a family. You sold that for that much? I can't believe it's worth thousands.
Right.
And
Right.
he doesn't have the
Right,
item
but he
in his
doesn't know when to.
He can still go back.
He can still go back, according to Rav Nachman, even after a long time. Name Messiah. Let's bring a support for Rav Nachman. Chazal divrei chachamim. We're back to the Tagri Lud. The merchants of Lud, they. This was a very difficult Gemara 3 years ago, when not 3 years ago, 3 cycles ago, I was teaching this in Bell Harbor. And I remember I got to this sugi over here, and there's a difference between Rashi and Tosfos, and I was trying to teach, and I was up late at night. I remember getting sick for like a week. This Gemara, I'm not say thank God we're going through this.
Yeah,
I took it easy now. So
Can I ask you a question before we start this? I don't know if it's gonna be- I have a condo on the beach. No, it's because this is a Masa.
Right.
Okay, people are now because you mentioned Bell Harbor. They've raised the assessments, the HOAs. Is that a lot of people are now selling condos in that building at low rates.
yeah.
Happens to be next door is that giant hotel, the Hollywood Beach Hotel, the Queen.
Okay.
It's been there for 100 years. It's fenced off because nobody knows what's going on with it, even though it says on the internet that there's this rich buyer who's planning on turning it into like a casino, major hotel, this, that. So here's my question. The people who are selling it now because they want to get out, they're selling it, all right? If it turns out in 2-3 years, all of a sudden, that thing becomes a big casino. I don't care about that buzzer. And then what do you call it?
Yeah, that's
It's double the price. Could they say, oh?
no.
They can't.
No, that's this at the going rate. You always go at the going rate right now.
Going rate.
Yeah, the going rate now.
They could go into the book. And
No,
see
so
that's what
there's
the
one
word
other
Well, that's what
detail.
I'm saying.
There's one other detail.
I'm not sure where they
The
get
other
cheese.
detail is that when it comes to realty, there's no such thing as a no.
Oh,
Even with the
we'll have it over here. I think also.
Translation done.
There's no a price fraud when it comes to realty.
Oh.
It is whatever you pay for it. Whatever.
Look at our neighbors.
It's fine, can't renege on
It's
it.
like an aliyah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like an aliyah. It's worth whatever you pay for it. Remember a guy who said he didn't want to pay so much for Chassan Terah, Chassan Bereshis. They went and shul. They went for like 100,000. He said, "Let me go to a shul nearby, a small little shtibel." He said, "Hey, for $200 you can get Chassan Terah. There's only 10 people there." He said, "Look, it's only worth whatever you pay for it. So you get what you pay for." Okay, so how long does we have? We have a statement from Reb Nachman that the Meicher could always come back and name a Messiah. Like we have a support. Chazal Divrei Chachamim. The Tagri Lud went back to the sages to follow the sages. They weren't happy with Reb Tarfon. If you say that the seller can always retract according to Reb Nachman, then very good. Because if the seller can always retract the Tagri Lud, they can always say that I was underpaid. So that's always right. The Tagri Lud, they're the sellers, they're the merchants. They say that I was underpaid, they can always retract. And if the other guy, the purchaser, says that he was overcharged, they have a limited amount of time to come back. That's why they followed the rabbis, not Reb Tarfon, who gave him a whole day. But if you say that it's exactly the same, what's the difference if they follow Reb Tarfon or they follow Rabbanan? If Reb Tarfon extends the time when they have for the sale to be to go back, to be retracted, so then the same way he extends the time for the purchaser, extends the time for the merchant, and so the merchant gains. Why are you saying that the merchant loses when they extend the time? He could also change his mind and say I was overpaid. The Gemara says Tagri Lud like shchiach, they don't make mistakes. The Tagri Lud, so they never get underpaid. They only overcharge. So that's why they wanted sales final. They don't need a return policy for them. Okay. Ush bezichne the Rami Bar Chama, the host of Rami Bar Chama, landlord. Zavan Chamra V'ta, he sold, I assume it's a donkey.
Has wine.
You have wine over there? What do you have there?
Like that.
You have a donkey. Okay.
Depends on the kid.
Depends on the kick, right? Chamra, it could be translated differently. You see, this is a classic. You have to do translations. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, Ashke, he made a mistake in how much he charged for the wine or donkey. Ashkeche Daviyotzev. Rami Bar Chama sees that his host is looking sad. Amalei Amayatzivas. Why are you so sad? Amalei Zvini Chamra V'taya. I sold wine and I made a mistake. I charged. I could have made much more money on that. Amalei Zil Hadabach. Don't worry, you're allowed to take it back, take the sale back. Amalei. But I waited too long. I can't take it back. Shadri Lakami de Rav Nachman. He sends him to Rav Nachman. He knows what Rav Nachman's going to paskin. The seller can always come back, can always recheck, can always get his money back. My timer. What's the reason for this? Now the Gemara spells it out. When it comes to the purchaser, he has an item in his hand. He can go around and see what the price is. He shows it to people. They'll tell him, were you overcharged or not? It's meicher, but the seller, he doesn't have the item anymore. Until he finds that to purchase exactly what he sold, that could take a long time. How's he ever going to know if that item has a different price? He doesn't have it anymore to show it.
How is he also going to know that he actually sold them the item so long? Like, I never sold this to you. That's why I'm
There's
wondering, maybe
receipts.
there's like a
Either the receipts or witnesses.
camera.
Or witnesses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can any of this apply to workers, sick wages, or just the items? If I'm working for somebody and I find out that I'm being underpaid.
That is going to come up in 2 chapters. This is over in Hasecher Sa'umnen, hiring workers. There's a whole chapter just on hiring workers. And yeah, it does come up. Especially it has to do with when the guy that's hiring you is not the real boss, and the real boss will agree to pay more, and this guy is trying to the middleman is anyway. You'll see in 2 chapters.
Leader from migrants.
What is it?
It's always a middleman and
Right.
band leader. Right? Bunch of guys. He's paid a lot. He lives high and
Right. Okay. Ahu Gavra, right? There was a person that Binoket Varshachi Lizvuni. He had belts, Rashi says, a bindle, silk. You see, Rashi? And a silk belt or straps of some sort. Not, what do you have there? Ribbons, okay. To sell Kari Shita Vishavi Chamsha. He's charging 6, but it was only worth 5.
oh,
So that's a 5th more. It depends on what you go. Depends what you go by. That's a 5th. That's too much. However, whoever, if you'd offer him 5.5, he would take it. Also, Gavra v'Yamar, this fellow comes along and says, if I give him 5.5, then it's going to cost 5.5. Etin Leshita, let me give him the price that he's asking, 6. Bet Beladina, and then I'll bring him to court and I'll get the extra money back. I guess we're following that we had 2 opinions before. It's Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. This is a shtus mais. According to Shmuel, it's a shtus mais. So it is a 6 according to Shmuel. Okay. Well, Asal Kami de Rava comes in front of Rava. Amalei leishanu avalekech avalekech min atagar. When do we say that there's a difference between a 6 or less than a 6 or more than a 6? That's only if you're buying from a merchant. There's no such thing as a na. Basically, you paid a 6, it's a done deal. He lost his this one he didn't win. Who Gavra? There was another person. You see, there's a difference between a homeowner that's selling items. He appreciates those items more than the merchant. The merchant doesn't care about them. So he sells them, just take it and go. And so by him, if he overcharges, the purchaser can come back and complain. But if you're selling something from your house because it's something that's sentimental, that's the price that you don't really want to sell it. You're selling it because you need the money, so that you can charge a different amount. Craigslist is different than Target, right?
In reality, they have a fear that during the hurricane, the whole price gouging, and then they give a phone number so people report. I don't know if they do anything about it, but they have that.
And there's a difference if it's from a store or if it's from some
They can only report it from stores.
Oh.
Like people on their own,
Oh, wow.
sell whatever they want.
Well,
But now they limit them that they can't sell on Amazon, even though Amazon does the thing themselves.
I hear what's going on.
We're charging $100
for what?
Hand sanitizer.
hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer. Okay. Someone explained to me, your friend, Dr. Friedman. He said, he said that when you wash your hands, he says you get off 99.9% of the germs anyway, just by going like this.
Rubbing.
Yeah, you don't need the whole.
Oh, just going like this.
Yeah. So you don't need all of the soaps and stuff. Yeah. Okay. He was explaining to my Chazal say that when you wash your hands, you're actually supposed to go like this after you wash. You take the water and you go like this. He says that does all of it. Okay. There was a person that took kipi, our earrings or nose rings to sell. Kari shitin v'shavi chamshin. That's the one before. That's Varshachi. Next case. This was 60. He's asking 60 coins. It's really only worth 50. If you would pay him 55, he would take it. Also, let me pay him the full price. Because if I pay him what I can get away with, and I'm gonna lose whatever I pay. But if I pay him the full price that he's asking, then I can go to court afterwards and get it back. Also, come to Rav Chisda. Comes to Rav Chisda. Amalei. Rav Chisda says, "Leishanu alabi lekeach." Who did he come to before? Came to Rava. Now he's coming to Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda is Rava's father-in-law. Leishanu lekech min atagar. Av lekech min abalabais. Ein la'elavin. If you buy from a homeowner, there's no ina. Amalei Rav Dimi. Rav Dimi says to me, "Yasher, you're correct." V'chinam Rabbi Elazar Yasher. Rabbi Elazar also says that that's correct. We're going to learn in the next Mishnah that just like there's enough for a regular person, there's also enough for a merchant. What are you talking about? Mishnah says, no, man, Hediyat, what do you mean a regular person? Lav balabayas, does it not mean a homeowner? That's talking about when they would make these little cheap clothing, canvas or linen or something. But if it's going to be his personal items, then he's going to want a lot of money. In other words, the Gemara is comparing this to like a lemonade stand from a homeowner. You know, he usually doesn't sell things like that, but yeah, he makes these little like things that he, Metzia Daf or something, like this little thing that he can sell. That he doesn't care. That's not his own item. That's what he's selling. He's a homeowner. I know it. He's a homeowner, but he still has like this thing that he sells that's not really his personal items. Hemp, canvas. It's hemp. Okay. New Mishnah, right? Whether it's a purchaser, whether it's a seller, there's the concept of of price fraud. Exactly what we just quoted a moment ago. That just like there's enough for a regular person, we're talking about if he's selling these hemp garments, so too there's enough for a merchant. Rabbi Yehuda says a merchant doesn't have enough. I'll have to see what that means. Whoever is the one that's being defrauded, he has the upper hand. He can be the one to say, give me what is Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's view, right? You can say, either I want the sale over, give me back all my money. Who says give me back my money? That's the purchaser says give me back my money. Or he can say, just give me what I was overcharged. How do we know that there's this concept of Eina? The Tana Rabbanan, it was taught in Rice, says, do not oppress the person that you're...
Wait, excuse me, you said the purchaser is giving back my money, or the seller says give me back?
The seller would say, give me back my item. The purchaser would say, give me back my money. So, I'll tell you. Do not oppress. Well, how do they translate there? Do not exploit. Probably. Do not exploit. I would only know if when someone's selling an item to his friend, I would only know that the purchaser is being defrauded. If the seller is being defrauded, how do we know? Or if he acquires, al tainu. Don't exploit the one that you're buying it from, right? When you're buying, don't exploit the one that you're buying it from, which means you can't exploit the seller. We have to have both of these in the Torah, because if it only said one, I wouldn't have known the other. Because of Rahman HaMeicher would only say that the seller can't exploit, because he knows what the price is. Right. He's selling it. But the purchaser, like he doesn't know. He's just buying it. I would say that there's no problem with him underpaying. The Torah says that no, there's a problem to underpay. Because Rahman Alekech would only say that the purchaser can't underpay Mishum de Kakani, because he's the one that's buying the Amri Yinish, because people say Zabnis Kanis. And when you're buying, at least you're buying something. But the seller, he's the one that's losing. People say Zavin Ovid, whoever sells loses. We could say that maybe, look, I'm the one that's losing out. The only thing I'm getting here is money, is cash. That's a very bad investment. So that's only going to go down. But the item that you have a real item, you have something of substance. So the seller could think that maybe I'm allowed to overcharge him. I'm the one that's losing the item.
Getting permission to buy something for a wage, like Abraham buys.
That was a high price.
It's a high.
Yeah,
He bought it for cheap.
No, he overpaid.
No, he paid
Where you
the
been?
actual value.
No,
He overpaid.
big
He
time.
didn't
No,
want,
he
he
did.
want
I
the
thought he
owner to
paid,
get
like,
any.
Yeah,
what
he
the
was ripped
value
off big
was, and he
time.
asked him to
He paid
sell
the
it
price
cheaper.
of what it would cost today.
Any recourse.
But is that still an issue if it's still a sixth over?
We can go back.
And I was on the
That's our mind.
subway in Manhattan, and the driver of the subway, I don't know, was in a good mood. He was saying, "Welcome to the island of Manhattan. $100, something like sold for $100." No, but it was sold for like 300 years ago, right? Yeah, from India. Yeah.
They do it in America, not us.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So therefore, it has to say both. Tzricha, it has to say both. That there's aina on the seller and on the buyer. Rabbi Yehuda says that a tagar, a merchant, doesn't have the concept of aina. It says mishum shu tagar ein la. What do you mean? Because there's a tagar, there's no such thing as aina. Because he's a merchant, that's not fair. This is what's it called? You don't treat everyone equal. So
All right.
By the way, Manhattan was sold for 60 guilders, worth today $1,143.
oh, $1,043. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
The whole island.
Very good. Okay.
I remember like a long time ago. Oh, we had a discussion about the person that the buyer was the one that would receive benefit of the wholesale purchase. I think
The buyer would receive.
it was a whole month later. Who was actually benefiting? The seller by selling or the buyer by buying?
Oh,
And I remember it was the
yeah.
buyer.
Okay. Okay, good. Now over here, we're also saying that the buyer benefits. That's why I could think that maybe the meicher could overpay. The meicher could overcharge him. That's what, because he's losing out. So what does it mean? Because he's a discrimination. We're talking about this merchant that's a broker, that not a broker, he's someone that buys quick. They use the term broker there.
Merchant.
Yeah. So he's buying quick, selling, just everything's like passing through him, just quickly selling. My time, what's the reason? Maybe the others he knows exactly what he's buying. And he's Michaelit. This that he sold it for this. Because he has something else to buy. 1 second, but now he's retracting. He's showing up, he's saying, I didn't want that. Why are we holding it against him? What does it mean that he doesn't have Aina? Exactly the opposite. He doesn't have the rules of Aina that only up to 1/6. That up to 1/6 it's considered forgiven. Actually, by him, even less than a 6, it's not forgiven. Tani Kava Seder of Nachman. Yeah, someone was complaining to me about a bookseller that they find it cheaper. They'll send all the whole shipment back and get it from someone else. Who was complaining about that. So it's so tough to deal with. But it turns out over here that that's how they make their money. They make their money because they have to buy it cheaper to be able to sell it. That's everything. Not like the purchaser that's just buying an item to use. Okay, he overpaid. But over here, this is their whole livelihood, is to get it exactly at the lower price and sell it for the. That's how they.
$40 books, $400 books.
Yeah, but he was complaining that they would send it back if they found it for $39, 50. They would send the whole shipment back because Okay. So Tiny Kavaseder of Nachman, we go back to the first shot over here, not to the second shot, which is exactly the opposite. Rav Ashi's shot is exactly the opposite, that they can retract on everything. Rav Nachman said they cannot never retract. And Tani Kavaseder Rav Nachman, he's an expert, so therefore there's no such thing as I know by him, because even if it's K'day even if it's that amount, you don't return it. Okay. The one that's the victim, he has the upper hand if he wants to cancel the sale. Mani Masnisen. Who's the author of our Mishnah? Lei Reb Nassan, Lei Rabbi Danasi. Can't be Reb Nassan or Rabbi Danasi. Reb Nassan we had earlier on the page before. Rabbi Danasi we had over there as well. Reb Nassan said that there's no such thing as changing as canceling the sale if it's 1/6 exactly. Rabbi Danasi says there is. The difference is, so it would fit with Rabbi Danasi, because Rabbi Danasi says there is no. Rabbi Danasi says there is only by the meicher. He didn't say by the seller. He says that if the seller wants, he can cancel the sale, but he didn't say the purchaser can cancel the sale. And in our Mishnah, it says the purchaser can cancel the sale because he says, give me back my money. Obviously, it's the purchaser, right? The purchaser is the one that paid and he wants his money back. So Reb Nassan, Masnisin Katani Ratza, Brisa, like Katani Ratza. The Brisa didn't say that if he wants, he can retract. He says it's automatically the sale is done, and if the only thing that happens is he gets back the overcharging. The Mishnah says that the purchaser, he says, give me back my money. The sell in the Brisa says the seller can retract. Siman Zav Rush. This is the following rabbis that will explain this, the answer to this. Amar Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar explains that's the Zion is Elazar. He says, I don't know who the author of this is. Okay. It's like I give up. What's the sends me to Yavamis? Yeah, can I look in there and see if they can link it?
I think it's 32.
Oh, I must have gone back a page of it. I'm missed the page. Next. Okay. I do not know who taught it. Yeah, they don't send me to it. I wanted to see Rabbi Kivega sends me to Yavamas. Okay. There's a website. No, it's all right. There's a website. Actually, you want to bring the Yavamas? Which volume would it be? The first one. There's a website, idafyomi.com, where you can click on the page and it starts playing for you wherever you click. You know, play. Not playing, audio. It plays the audio when you click on it. But over there also it's hyperlinked. If you click on the side, it will give you a Rambam. Yeah, it will give you the Rambam. It will give you whatever you click on it, like pops up in another. Just see what Rabbi Kivega is referring to here. 27 is. Ah, very cool. Yeah, we have the same Gemara here. Amarlei Achayes Eni Yedea Mishanan. This is Rabbi Yosi Bar Chanina to Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah, we have Rabbi Yochanan saying that he doesn't know who taught this. So okay, so he's telling me where we have. He lists over there other scenarios, other cases where the Amir says, I don't know who the author is. Okay, next is Rabba. Rabba Amar Leilam Reb Nassan. It's really Reb Nassan. So then in adjust the brisa didn't say that if he wants, he has that option. But what we can do is we can say, that really Rav Nassan holds that he does have the option. So then what's the machlekes Rav Nassan and Rav Yehuda Nasi? If you have the option for both of them, the difference would be, according to Rav Nassan, you would have the it would be the lekeach can change his mind, and according to Rav Nasi, it would be the meicher, the seller. Rav Amalaylam Rabbi Danasi. Rav says no, it's really Rabbi Danasi. My Deshai B'Braisa Kamafarish, my Deshai Mastisan Kamafarish B'Braisa. That the Mishnah is explaining the Brisa, and actually both of them, both the Mishnah and the Brisa, Rabbi Danasi would agree that that both the seller and the buyer, whoever was overcharged, is the one that can cancel the entire sale. Amar Rashi. Rashi says that's the shin of the simon. Dekanami, I'll prove it to you. The Mishnah started off with saying whether it's the purchaser, whether it's the seller. And the Mefarish leikeach, then it concludes with the leikeach. Shmamina shiri shari lemeicher, just left it out, but the Brisa elaborated and explained that. Shmamina, okay. Itmar, we have a statement. If someone says to his friend, yeah, Dr. Stein, someone says to his friend, I'm making a sale with you. This is going to be a sale with no returns, even if I'm overcharging. There's no returns. In fine print, yeah. So Rav Amar Yesh Lavana. Rav says it doesn't matter. There still is Eina. Eina is a concept in the Torah. You can't just cancel it out because of your own agreement. And Shmuel says Ein Lavana. Shmuel says no, there's no Eina. That was their agreement. That's their agreement. They could do whatever they want. Lema Rav Damak Rab Meir, Shmuel Damak Rab Yehuda. Let's say that Rav goes like Rab Meir and Shmuel goes like Rab Yehuda. The Tanya was taught in the Brisa. If someone tells a woman, someone tells a woman, I'm going to be mad. Behold, you are betrothed to me on condition that I have no responsibilities to you, not with clothing, not with food, and not with relations. Reb Meir says, Reb Meir says it's a good marriage, and we just ignore the conditions. Even though the guy said he doesn't want to pay for her food and all of that, he's going to be obligated to. Well, the whole Tanai is batal. The whole condition is nullified.
This was more than just.
That's the same thing with the nether. There was a nether that was like already written in Torah.
Yeah.
And if it was something that was canceled Torah.
Right. Rabbi Yehuda says, "V'davar shabmam and Tanai kayim." Rabbi Yehuda says, like Shmuel, we're trying to say Shmuel would go like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, monetary things, you can make any condition that you want. Which leaves out the relations. The relations, he's still responsible. She can still claim that he's not living with her. But the money parts, she was Michael. She'll have to get her own income. Okay, so what turns out here is that we have machlekes Rav and Shmuel, which is exactly a machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. The Gemara doesn't like this. That Rav should go like Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Shmuel should go like Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara doesn't like this because Rav would like to go with all the Tanaim. He doesn't want to just pick one side. Shmuel would like to go with all the Tanaim. Amalach Rav. Rav says, no, Rabbi Yehuda. No, I could even go with Rabbi Yehuda. Over there, Rabbi Yehuda says, obviously she knows what she's getting into. And she forgave it. But over here, when it comes to Eina, person didn't know that he's being overcharged. She wasn't really Meichelet. That's why I say that it's not considered Eina. That there still is a concept of Eina over here. The Rabbi Yehuda says there's no Eina when it comes to the marriage. There's no Eina. There's no Tanai. And Rav over here says that there is a Tanai. And the reason is because the Rav says, Rav says even though they made a condition, the condition is nullified. Because the person didn't know to really forgive. He didn't know if he's being overcharged. He was hoping that he wasn't. It turns out that he is. He never agreed to that. Shmuel says, I can go even according to Reb Meir that says that the Tanai is batal, and I say over here that that there's no aina. Over there, Reb Meir says that the Tanai is bottled because he's definitely violating what it says. Because the Torah says what his obligations are, and he's violating it. Over here, I don't know if he's violating. We don't know if he's really doing aina. So over here, we would say that there is no aina. It's not definite that he's overcharging. Okay. The question is if he is. So I guess we're saying at the time of the agreement,
We don't know
if if it's totally nullified, right? That would be Reb Meir. Yehuda says, no, 1 second. We're saying it's a good marriage, but he owes her everything.
No, it says that a person can only negate like monetary matters.
He can, yes, negate, but that is Rabbi Yehuda.
Yeah. So, and here we go like him. So it's only monetary matters. So we could say something that's not according to the Torah on monetary matters only.
If they make an agreement, then according to Rabbi Yehuda, they can, yeah, that's what it seems like. I saw that there was an issue over here regarding Shemitah. The person says on condition that Shemitah should not take away the loan. Because Shemitah takes away. Where did I see that?
right here. Almanach channel by not.
Which thesis was it?
No.
Almanas?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the next Gemara. Okay.
We say that people can negate monetary matters if they open the limit to a lot of things. Like everything.
Yeah, that's a discussion if it really works. Right. You see over there, the person is owed money. Yeah, I see. It can. That's a discussion. If he can, if they agree to it, they would have to both agree. I'm not talking about one person is claiming that. I'm talking about that we agree. We agree when we started this deal that we're not going to use that law. Now, when it comes to interest, then it doesn't work, right? Okay, interest, obviously not, but when it comes to other things, it could be a Amar of Anan. Anan says, I have my own interpretation of what Shmuel says. It was explained to me by Shmuel, Master Shmuel. Someone says to his friend, someone says, on condition that there is no, you don't have any claim of Eina on me, then Ein La Eina, then he doesn't have the claim. But if he says on condition that there is no Eina, then there is the concept of Eina, and you actually can retract entirely from the whole sale. Because he was stipulating that the sale is only valid if there's no overcharging. And if there is overcharging, then not like the first statement. They look similar, but they're totally opposites. First one is on condition that you have no claim of Eina. Second one is on condition that there is no Eina. Meisvei, where's the question? Someone, there's two interpretations here. Rashi's pshat is that he gives them things to sell. And he says, pay me whatever, this is like a shliach that's selling items for the owner, right? He says, give me back your the profit that you get. I'm going to pay you, as we're going to see later, I'm going to pay you for your efforts. But he should give him the whatever he sells it for. Okay. Taisvis learns that what's Taisvis prat? Taisvis nahen shemamina bekamen kana v'nasan like kach b'kach shaprin levana. Taisa has a totally different shot. He's telling him how much I bought it for. There's a trust concept there. Where he says, "Look, I may be overcharging you, but so what? I paid this amount, and I'm charging you whatever a little bit more. That's my price."
So he's not misleading.
Yeah. There's two pshatim over here. What's the halacha? Or if someone says, on condition that you have no claim of ina, then there is no ina. So 1 second. According to Rav Damar, no Damri, Afilu Rabbi Yehuda, Hamani. According to Rav, if he wanted to say, Rav says that in such a condition, someone says, Ein la yalavana, there still is ina. And according to this, if Rav fits like Rav, if Rav was following Reb Meir, and the Rabbi Yehuda says that you can make stipulations that are against the Torah, so you could say, okay, this is Rabbi Yehuda, I followed Reb Meir. But if Rav says that Rabbi Yehuda also goes according to me, Hamani, so who's this going to fit with? Because Rav previously said that he wants to fit with Rabbi Yehuda as well. He has no one to attribute the brisa to. Well, Amar Abaya Machvarta Rav Reb Meir Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda. Abaya says, well, it would be more clear if we go back on that answer. We say that Rav goes like Reb Meir, Shmuel goes like Rabbi Yehuda, and then you can say that the brisa is according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rav says like Kasha. No, there's no difference. There's no question over here. There's a big difference between the two cases. Kam bestan, kam b'mfarsh. It depends if he's specifying. Now, I think this is going to have two different shatim. Stam, according to Rashi says, Al menashe l'chalayna. He doesn't know if there is a na. And mefarish means that he says, I know that there is a na, and I'm selling it to you anyway, and I don't want you to claim it. So over there, Rabbi Yehuda says that it's a good sale because I know what I'm getting into, and I'm doing this anyway. Okay. The Tanya was taught in a brayso. When do we say that there's a concept of ina bestam? That's only if you didn't clarify. You just said that as long as there's no whether there is ina or not, then there's going to be ina. Aval ben mefarish, but if you say clearly, the seller sells to the purchaser. I know that it's only worth 100. I'm selling it for 200. I'm not saying on condition that you don't come back and complain about it, that you don't say then there's no enough. The seller can tell to the purchaser can tell to the seller, I know that it's really worth 200. And then on condition that you don't have any complaints about it. And there's no enough. So he has a brisa that supports that answer, that there's a difference if he spells it out, how much it's actually worth. This they can do in the flea market thing where the guy goes in and says that there's it might tell them, it may be worth a little more, somehow that may cover it, even though it doesn't tell him it's worth $1 million. He just said it. I don't know. That he said more. I didn't know it was $1 million. That's what he's going to claim. Okay. Tanarabanan. Hanaisi v'hanaisin ba'amana. Remember with the tefillin, with the guy that was selling tefillin. The guy comes in, wants to buy it for $5. He says, what? So he says, yeah, you're missing the left. You only have the head in the left hand. You don't have the right hand. It's a faulty pair. They fooled him. Okay. But over there, it was because it was stolen. So.
Yeah. So it's okay to fool him if it's stolen.
Probably.
Let's try to get it back.
Okay, we go back to the case. If someone gives, this case apparently is different than the first case.
You can't pay him any full amount because then they'll just go into it again.
Right. No, okay, we explained before that there were two options of how to explain this. One was where he's selling on behalf of the other person. Rashi introduces into this case that it's a problem of ribis. There's two items that he's selling. One of them is very good and will sell quickly, and the other one is going to be very difficult to sell. He tells him like this: I'm trying to sell this item. There's two left shoes or something. Trying to sell this item, and it's going to be very difficult. But meanwhile, you can hold on to the money that you get from the good item, the one that's easy to sell, and really all the work that you're doing is that you're doing for me is being paid for by the fact that you can use the money. So it turns out that there's interest going on. The interest is the effort that he's putting in to sell those items that don't really sell well. And what's in the loan is that he gets to hold on to the money that he gets from the item that sells quickly. That's the way Rashi's learning this. There's an interest problem. So what you need to do over here is either you give the person a set fee for everything, I'm paying you for your efforts, or you do everything ba'amana, and either that's ba'amana, or you get to keep see, either the person gives whatever the seller pays, he gives that full amount back to the original owner, and then he gets a price. He gets paid for his efforts. That would be a case of amana. He's trusting him how much the person paid for it. Right? He charges a lot of money. The middle guy doesn't make anything on how much he charges, how much he's going to get whatever it sells for doesn't matter to the middle guy because he's going to get his fee anyway. That's one. The other way is that no, you should charge this amount. If you sell it for more, you get to keep that. This commission.
One's on commission, the other is just the service of service fee.
Right. So over here, we can't do one where he's getting a service fee, because then he's holding on to the money for all of that time, and he gets to use that money. That's what it seems. And then the difficulty that he has of selling the other one is like paying for the usage of the money. Rather, what would be the opposite way?
That only works if he uses the money.
Or maybe just the fact that he's able to.
He won't suffer
it.
like to get the. He won't suffer like to make back the money. He says, "Oh look, I'm gonna give you this for $1, you sell it for whatever you want."
Okay, now let's do it differently. I'm giving you two items to sell. One of them will sell quickly. One of them is going to be very difficult. I'll let you hold on to all the money. So that, but you have to work hard to sell the second one and give it to me when you sell the second one. So over there, the payment that he's getting for holding on to the money is the work that he's putting in. So that's a problem. So what's the solution to that? The solution is that either there's a set price, either there's a service fee for both, that I'm paying you for your efforts. That's a service fee. So that's not the service fee is not the fact that he's able to use the money. He's actually getting a service fee, or he's able to charge more and to make money on whatever it is. And he keeps that profit.
Is there ever a question that this service fee?
Doesn't seem like that because he's paying the service fee. He's paying for that, right?
Yeah, but it sounds like if he makes more, he just said that he makes more. So something about what you just said.
Oh, it's like a cash cow. You have one item that earns a
Right.
lot of money, and then the other item
Traffic, huh?
Buzz.
Okay, now all of this was according to Rashi. Taisus Pshat was that he's specifying to the person how much he paid for it. Let me see.
Don't try that at home.
Very long, so long. Sunday morning, they have those long trains.
Let me see your commentary there.
We had an
Let's see.
was it?
They're only explaining Rashi's Pshat. Okay. This is the way they explained it. Okay, there's another Pshat. V'naisen leischar kasef, and he has to give him the wages for carrying it on his shoulder, schar gamel, or for hiring a camel to drive it, schar pundik, for lodgings while he's transporting it, schar atzmai in a nightel. But for his own efforts, that he doesn't take. Why? Because he already paid him for that. Where did you say that he paid him for that? Rav Papa says it's druye the yave arba lameya. We're talking about those things, those clothing, that canvas or hemp clothing that was sold. He says over there you always get 4 coins for every 100. So that was considered his service fee. He always gets a service fee, even though we didn't mention it before, but that's what we're talking about. So he's always getting a service fee. Okay, next Mishnah. We're talking about now worn down coins. How much was it considered worn down? If someone is trading a coin, but one of the coins is either clipped or worn down, so how much missing would be considered aina? So this is slightly different than it is by other items. Other items we said it was 1/6. That was clear. 1/6 in the difference, as I know.
Was the coin the value of the material or not? Because nowadays we don't have
Right.
gold
Back
standards.
then it was
Coins
the
are
value
coin.
of the material, but
Yeah.
but it was more than that because it was easy to use if it was the currency. Well, Rav Meir, I remember.
Can we get the whole machlokas last week about with the coins? Is it
Gold and silver.
Gold, silver, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't so clear. We kept saying, is it a commodity or is it?
Yeah, there was a question about gold and silver, which one was the bigger currency. But nevertheless, there was the currency then was the value of the silver. It wasn't just an item that was being exchanged. Commentator, okay. There's 4 isaris for a stella. You have to. I'll tell you how the things work. Isser ledina. It's 1 isser per dinar. So which means that a stella had 4 dinarim, and in every isser even in every dinar were 24 isser, because there were 2 isser in a pundian, and then there were 2 pundian in a ma, and there were I think 6 ma in a dinar, which is a total of 24 isser. Yeah, 24 isser in a dinar. So if you can if it could be missing up to if a seller could be missing for the value of 4 isser, so that would be 1/24th, because the cell itself has 4 dinar, which is one isser per dinar. What do you have, a chart?
Yeah.
The whole conversion, everything that you're saying, like it has it.
It's in
Yeah,
chart.
so
Yeah,
it's
it's easier in a chart.
So
Okay, that's 1/24th basically. Rabbi Yehuda, that's Rabbi Meir's view. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer arba pundianis. It's 4 pundianis, which is half of the amount of what? Reb Meir held, which is pundian ladina. It's 1 pundian, which is 1/12 of a dinar. Reb Shimon says it's a half of that. It's shmeina pundianis, which is shnei pundianim ladina, which is 2 pundian per dinar, which is only 1/6. So we have the 24th, the 12th, and the 6th. Okay. The Gemara is going to ask, why didn't we have that machlekes back then when we were talking about Eina? You only have it by the coins. How long do you have to retract? The krachim, if it's in the cities or over there, you have bankers. You can show it to a banker at Kadesh the amount of time it takes to run into a bank and show them to see if this coin is considered acceptable. The kfarim, if it's in the villages, our Shabbos you have until Erev Shabbos, because then when you take it out to try to buy something on Friday, you're going to find out that people don't want it. Then that's when you're going to realize. Imhaya Makira, if he recognized it, even after 12 months, he has to take it back, and he can't have any complaints. We'll see in the Gemara what that meant. Nice still Meiser Sheni, and you can use it for Meiser Sheni as well. You know, you can redeem Meiser Sheni with this. And you shouldn't be concerned about this, because the only people that are concerned about this are people that are very stingy. In other words, if it still works as the currency, then you should still use it. You know, like people, they say, and I want a crisp dollar. Give me the other dollar. Come on, you know, it's $1. What do you want? So over here also, if it works, just use it and don't.
Is that what people use?
For Hanukkah gals, the kids.
Spoke about like in a
rusty penny. For a mini.
That one will lose the value.
Yeah. But nevertheless, it still works. If it still works, then you can still use it. I don't know.
Yeah, it turns green.
You put a penny in the can of Coke.
I mean, I see if you want to sell.
I don't think it
old
really
coins,
does.
if it's in better condition.
They say it does.
And there are ways that
Someone told me that they said if you put a tooth in a can of Coke, it will disappear. Someone told me they tried it, it didn't disappear.
What?
This is not an advertisement for Coke. The tooth didn't disappear. Nevertheless, but
Still clean the toilet.
Also the car batteries.
It actually does clean the toilet. Okay, for a mini, the Gemara is a contradiction. It says, see, if you look carefully at the Mishnah, it says how much missing from the coin, and there will not be Aina. But a Brisa says how much will be missing from the coin, and there will be Aina. And over there it has the same list. So this exact measurement, does this mean there is or there isn't? So Rav Papa always resolves contradictions. He says, like Kasha, Tana Didan Kachashev Mimata Lamayla, Tana Bra Kachashev Mayla, depends where you're starting from. You're starting from the bottom. One of my kids told me, yeah, I know how to drive. I said, oh yeah, which side is the gas pedal on? He says, it depends which way you're facing. Okay, so anyway, so if you're starting from the bottom, you're saying that what's not enough. So then you work your way up, and it's not including that, because this level already has enough. As you're saying, 100th, a 50th, until you get to 100 to a 24th, it's not enough, and it comes until here, and this is where it stops. Till over there, it is enough. That's where we were talking about the up until there is no enough, because you're starting from the bottom. But the Bryce is starting from the top. If it's going to be more than this, if it's half, if it's a third, if it's a quarter, up to a sixth, over there, it all is enough, starting from the top, and actually it's including it. The main point of it here is the Gemara left out. Is it ad v'ad b'chlal, or is it ad b'loy ad b'chlal? And that switches. If it's the according Tana Didan, it's b'loy ad b'chlal, and Tana Bra, it's ad b'chlal. You know the difference. If you put a line in between, you write from 4 to 6. Let's say 4 line and you put 6, a dash, a hyphen. So then it's including the 4 and it's including the 6.
Right.
But is that the same if you write it, if you spell it out from 4 to 6, it may only mean 5. It may not be including it,
It's 2. It's a
right?
legal terms.
Yeah, the legal term. Anyway, that's a discussion, ad vad bechlal, discussion in the Gemara, how it works. Okay, Maishna Besela de Pliga, Maishna Betalis Le Pliga. We said that by when it came to Aina, we didn't make a machlaitis, and it came to this coin, we make a machlaitis. What's Aina? Marav, Man Tana Talis. Want to know who's the author of the Mishnayos before Reb Shimon? It's Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon said 1/6. Before we said 1/6. Reb Shimon is Reb Shimon Bayachai. Abaya Amar, Abaya says Talis Achtos Machalinish Tamri, and she by a talis, a person is up until a 6, the person forgives. Because people say Ashik legabach v'shavi lekresef, that spend a lot for your clothing. You can even pay extra for your clothing, but don't pay more for food. The Gemara is not fond of spending a lot of money on food. I think that cheap food is just as good as expensive food. Huh?
$23 for a salad. What's
Yeah, chopped onions.
That's
and
restaurant.
I think, I don't know if it means in that quality, but I think it thinks that eating rice and grains is like eating same as eating meat and this. So beans or whatever. Sella, that's not what it's discussing over here. Over here, it's just saying that by Sella, given the lesagile lemachal, over here he's going to be much more particular because the coin won't be taken if it's missing some of the coin. It's going to be very difficult to use. Ufa. Yeah, Ufa. We're falling behind. Ad kama. Let's see. Let's try. Ad kama te'eselach servei bayina. How much is missing and it will be ayina? Rab Neir Eimer Arba Yisaris. Yisrael Lediner. Rab Yuda Eimer Dalet Pundias Pundian Lediner. Rab Shimon Eimer Shmeina Pundian Shnei Pundian Lediner. Yisrael Kain Meichel B'Shavia. More than that, then you have to sell it for its actual value. You can't sell it for its actual price because it's missing some of the material. How long can it be missing and you can still use it? Now the problem over here is that
coins back then? Just the value was
the weight.
strictly the weight.
Yeah. The problem over here is that it could be misleading. Someone could use this to trick someone what its real value is. So it says like this: Besela ad shekel. Once it gets to the level of a shekel, then you shouldn't be using a sela anymore, even though you're going to sell it for a shekel. But the next guy that's going to use it is going to possibly sell it for something else, because the shekel was more smaller, the sela was wider and thicker, and the shekel was more narrow. This may be still wide, even though it's worn down. So someone may consider it, if it's less than even though you can use it as a shekel, but someone may, when it gets less than that, he may still use it as a shekel because it's confusing because of the size difference.
I'm sorry, that when the governments changed and different coins were not
Right.
So even though it had the value,
You would have to you weren't allowed to use that coin. You'd have to remint it.
I didn't have the
Right.
title.
Over here, you can't even use it for the coin that it is anyway. You're using it as a shekel, even though it's really a sela, but you shouldn't be using this coin anymore because it's less than a shekel. And now it's confusing. Maybe it looks like a shekel, even though it's less than a shekel because it's wider, even though it's not a stick. A dinar, ad reva, a dinar until a quarter. Now, a shekel is half a sela, and a dinar is a quarter, and a reva is a quarter of a dinar. Pachas mikan, less than that. Pachas mikan isser. If it's an isser less than that, then it's asser. Maybe asser leitzia. Harezelaim karena. That coin you shouldn't sell it. Leila tagar, not to a merchant. Leila charam, it's a violent person. Leila harig, not to a murderer. Neshon ramba sachirim, because they'll trick other people. El yikvena, you make a hole in it. Bitlena b'tzavra b'naya bita. You just use it as a necklace. Amar mar. Gemara says, "Sela shekel b'dinar dreva." When a sela gets worth less, you can still use it up until a half. The dinar adreva, if it's a dinar up until a quarter. Maishna b'selad shekel, maishna dinar adreva. Why is there a difference over here? One is half and one is a quarter. Amar Abaye, my reva dektani. You know what we meant by a quarter? Not a quarter of a dinar. Nami reva de shekel. Reva shekel. It's a quarter of a shekel, which is, when you're dealing with a dinar itself is two. 2 dinarim are a shekel. 4 dinarim are a selah. 2 dinarim are a shekel. So a quarter of that is going to be a half a dinar. So both of them are half. Half and a half. Okay. So the Gemara now says, Amarava, Dekanami, I'll prove it to you. The Katani Reva, Katani Revia. It says a Reva, which it must have been the name of a coin, a Reva of a shekel. Shmamina. Okay. Lamale limitly ladina b'shekel. Why did we discuss the dinar by a quarter of a shekel? Nilsaka Agavarcha Kamashma is coming to teach us Tika dinar dasim shekel, that there's a concept of a dinar that's being used as a worn out shekel. That's a worn out shekel that's being used as a dinar. Messiah Leila Rabami, this supports Rabami, dinar Rabami shekel, mutalakaimai. Dinar Rabami sela asalakaimai. If it came from a shekel, then you can still use it. But if a dinar that comes from a sela, which was much wider, you can't use it because you won't be able to tell if it even got worth less than that or not. Okay.
It's
Let's leave it
in.
over
Oh my
here.
God, we just getting started. Oh.